Hello, I'm Dr. Sandler. I'm a psychologist with Boomerang Healthcare, and today we're talking about the life of a workers' comp claim. First of all, again, I'm Dr. Sandler, a psychologist. I'm a QME as well. That being said, I am not a workers' comp specialist. I'm not a vocational rehabilitation specialist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm definitely not your lawyer. So always consult with your own attorney, your own legal representation when you're making decisions about your workers' compensation case. As we go through this, if the instructors would like, they can pause every once in a while, maybe when the slides are changing, take some questions and have some discussion. Otherwise, let's get started. So the life of a claim. Navigating a workers' compensation claim is a complex and daunting process. Workers' compensation is what's called a med-legal system, so it's a combination of medical and legal systems. Because it's legal, it's very complex, like many legal systems, and it's very difficult to navigate without an attorney. So again, a lot of this information is going to be generic, so it applies to everyone. Please consult with your attorney about how all this applies to your case in particular. Understanding each step in the life of a claim is essential to ensure you receive the benefits and support you need. Knowledge not only helps you manage the immediate impacts of your injury, but helps you to plan for the future personally and professionally. So we're going to talk about the life of the claim, which means the beginning, the middle, and the end of a workers' comp claim. So there are several critical stages in the workers' compensation claim. There are many different ways to conceive of this, but we're going to break it down as simply as possible. If you become familiar with this process, you can make much more informed decisions, you can set more realistic goals, and you can more actively participate in your recovery. In other words, if you understand the process better, you are more likely to get better. We've broken down the life of the claim into four main stages. The first stage is the injury itself and filing the claim. Once that's accepted, you have access to the medical treatment and benefits of the workers' comp system. At a certain point, you're declared what's called permanent and stationary, or P&S, also known as MMI, which means maximum medical improvement. And that leads to the claim resolution, also known as settlement. So we'll go through each of these in detail. Here's a kind of diagram to show you this. First is injury and filing claim, and then medical treatment and benefits is once that claim is accepted. Once your claim is accepted, you are expected to try to recover actively through treatment, through home exercise, and so on. At a certain point, you reach P&S or MMI, and that leads eventually to settlement. Like I just said, we're going to go through each in more detail, and there will be, in fact, separate classes on many different aspects of this diagram. So there will be a class on temporary disability, one on permanent and stationary, one on settlement, and so on. So the first stage is injury and filing your claim. At some point, you had an injury and you reported it to your employer, and they had you fill out a DWC-1 form. And that's how you start your workers' comp claim. You are, in fact, entitled to immediate care once you fill out that claim while they are determining to accept or deny your claim. So if you're watching this in a functional restoration program, that means your claim has long since been accepted, and that's why you're getting treatment through the system. So once you have the injury and file the claim, if they accept that claim, that leads to stage 2, which is medical treatment and benefits. So now you're in the system, you're in the work comp system, and you get access to medical treatment and certain financial benefits. So the focus shifts once your claim is accepted to your treatment, to getting you better, to recovering as much as possible so you can return to work or productive activities in general. You also are potentially eligible for temporary disability once your claim is accepted. So the whole point of this is that receiving treatment and benefits helps you manage the challenges physically and financially that come with your injury, hopefully so you can actively put effort into recovering and get back to work, get back to life as soon as possible. Like it says here, actively participating in your recovery, setting clear goals are essential. You can't just assume that Other people are going to take care of everything for you, that all the medical treatments are going to figure everything out for you or do everything to you. In fact, you need to be an active participant. You not only need to actively participate, but set your own goals so that you can move forward in a way that's meaningful to you. The work comp system expects you to be engaged in your treatment process and demonstrating a commitment to your rehabilitation. That includes showing up to all your appointments, that includes taking your medications, and that includes doing exercises and stretches that you're taught at home, as well as in physical therapy or other treatments. Establishing and working towards functional and personal goals can significantly enhance your quality of life and support your journey back to a fulfilling, productive work life. So while you're in FRP and while you're dealing with chronic pain in general, it's very important for you to consistently set smart goals, to track your progress, to encourage yourself forward, and to give some structure to your recovery process. So like I said, in stage 2, you get access to medical treatment. Once your claim is accepted, you get this if the care is authorized. Right? So there's a process of requesting treatment and it is authorized or denied. During this process, when you're in stage 2, you are not expected to just sit around and wait or rest. You are expected to actively recover. You are supposed to proactively seek out treatment, proactively do exercises, proactively do lifestyle changes that can improve your quality of life and potentially return you to work eventually. Like I said earlier, real briefly, once your claim is accepted, you also potentially get access to temporary disability benefits. If your injury prevents you from working, you may be eligible for temporary disability benefits. The whole point of temporary disability or TD is to provide a portion of your lost wages from not working. So if you were injured and that injury prevents you from working, you are most likely eligible for temporary disability. How much is it? Temporary disability are typically about 2/3 of your average weekly earnings. That being said, they're not taxed. So it actually comes out to be very similar for most people. It's important to understand that temporary disability is temporary. They do not last forever, and many people are caught off guard by their TD benefits running out. So there are several things that could trigger the end of temporary disability. If you return to work, you are not eligible for temporary disability anymore. The whole point of it is to recover lost wages, and if you're working, you're not losing wages, so you're not eligible. So if you return to work, your temporary disability will end. If your claim reaches the next stage that we're going to talk about in a second, stage 3 of the life of the claim, where you're declared permanent and stationary or MMI, that also leads to the end of your temporary disability benefits. Being declared P&S and MMI essentially means your recovery has plateaued. And since you are no longer recovering, and the purpose of temporary disability is to provide lost wages while you recover, there is no need to continue TD. So, if you reach permanent and stationary, your temporary disability will end. Also, there is a maximum of 2 years or 104 weeks of receiving temporary disability. So even if you're unable to return to work, even if you're not declared permanent stationary, you can only get a maximum of 2 years of temporary disability. And whichever one of these comes first, that is when temporary disability will end. So you are not entitled to 2 full years of temporary disability. That's not how it works. That's the absolute maximum. The ideal is that you use temporary disability as little as possible because you're able to get back to work so quickly. So, temporary disability, there's a lot of questions about this, a lot of details and complexity. There will be a full class on the details of temporary disability in this vocational rehabilitation series. Temporary disability is not a replacement for your job. They're not meant to replace your wages, only temporarily while you recover. You are expected to actively recover, not just sit around and wait or rest, not simply go to massage and have people do things to you passively. You need to actively Take action, exercise, make lifestyle changes, adjust your life so that you can recover while you're on temporary disability. Temporary disability is not meant to replace your body, nor is it meant to replace your job. It's a temporary thing that is a nice benefit that can help us a little bit while we recover and return to our job. Remember that it's virtually always better for your physical, mental, and financial health to just get back to work sooner rather than later, so you can just get your full wages. Right? Rather than worrying about all this, it's always better to be healthier and back at work. While you're recovering, you need to have goals. The work comp system expects you to actively participate in your recovery. And if you don't set any goals, chances are you won't ever achieve them. Right? So setting and working toward goals is essential to demonstrate your commitment to getting better. And we know that setting goals makes it more likely to succeed. Those goals should be functional goals. Functional goals means they're based on your work-related tasks. So if you needed to lift 75 pounds at your work, your goals should be around increasing your lifting capacity. Right? If you need to stand for a very long time at work, you need to increase your standing capacity. In other words, your goals should be functionally related to your work tasks. On top of that, we can have some personal goals to improve our overall quality of life, including learning to relax, improving nutrition, increasing social activity. All the other things that you'll learn in FRP have been demonstrated to improve your quality of life with chronic pain. Having clear goals keeps you motivated during treatment and rehab, and tracking your progress toward these goals can provide a sense of accomplishment that can help you stay focused on your recovery. So goals are very important. Eventually, you will exhaust all possible treatment, including surgery, injections, physical therapy, maybe FRP. At a certain point, your condition will stabilize or plateau. That is what it means to be declared P&S or MMI. So understanding what it means to be P&S or MMI is very crucial. It's a very crucial moment in your claim, and it impacts your eligibility for permanent disability benefits, helps determine your ability to return to work. At this stage, you're going to receive something called an impairment rating that reflects any lasting limitations you might have, any permanent loss of function. That rating influences the benefits you're going to receive and the types of work that you can perform. So P&S means permanent and stationary. MMI means maximum medical improvement. They're terms that refer essentially to the same thing. MMI is much more descriptive because P&S is simply the moment at which you have maximum medical improvement. A doctor determines you've reached that stage when your condition is unlikely to improve significantly, even with further treatment. So there comes a point where they're actually not going to treat you forever and expect you to keep getting better and better. There comes a point where they realize, even with further treatment, you've essentially hit your limit or a plateau. That plateau is called permanent stationary or maximum medical improvement. As it says here, you're declared P&S when your progress has plateaued. Your doctor determines this, or the QME doctor. So in this third stage, when you're declared P&S or MMI, if you still have lasting impairments, if there's still somewhat of a loss of function, your doctor or QME will assign something called WPI, a whole person impairment rating, which is a single percentage number, such as 7%. That rating helps determine if you have any permanent loss of function or impairments, and that helps determine the benefits you're entitled to receive. It takes into account the severity of your impairments, as well as the job where you were injured, your age, and a few other factors. They put this into a kind of a complex mathematical formula, and that kind of, at the end, the formula spits out what you would receive for compensation. After you're declared permanent stationary, if you're able to return to work with restrictions, your employer might offer modified duty, accommodating any limitations. Um, and those modified duties are tasks that accommodate your restrictions, they accommodate your limitations. Your employer could also give you a different job than the one that you had before. So, for example, maybe you're working outside, but they have another job inside in the back. That's an alternative job. However, if you can't return to your previous employer at all, either full duty, modified duty, or alternative job, you probably have to consider alternative employment options. This is also the stage where the voucher comes into play. So after you're declared permanent and stationary, if you're unable to return to that job, like I just mentioned, and they're unable to accommodate you, there's no job available, you are probably eligible for something called the voucher, the supplemental job displacement benefit, and that is $6,000. You should automatically get that from your adjuster if you're eligible. This is money from workers' comp that's specifically to help with retraining in classes. So, for example, taking computer classes so you can maybe get a job on the computer, taking English classes if you don't know English, that opens up a lot of opportunities, and so on and so forth. The idea is the voucher is specifically for things to help you find a new job. It's not money to use for a vacation, for example. Finally, the fourth stage is settlement, also known as claim resolution. It involves negotiating an agreement that concludes your claim and provides compensation for your injury. This process requires careful consideration and legal guidance to ensure your rights are protected. So always consult with your attorney about the best strategy. After settlement, it's crucial to manage your finances wisely and plan for future medical needs. You also have to continue to set and maintain personal and professional goals during this stage to help you transition smoothly out of the workers' comp system and hopefully into the rest of your life. There are two types of settlements. One is a lump sum called compromise and release, or C&R. That's when you get a big check all at once and your claim is then completely closed. The insurance company is released from future liability, but also you're not able to get any more treatment through the work comp system. The other way to settle is called stipulated findings and award. You might hear it called STIPs or settling with future medical. That usually involves agreeing a certain amount of permanent disability benefits. They're often paid monthly if you settle this way, but you maintain access to the work comp system for your care. That means that you don't have to pay for the medical treatment that's ongoing, but you're still subject to the workers' comp system. So you still might get denials, for example. Your case resolution or settlement is a process that includes negotiation. Both parties, you and your employer, negotiate the terms, and it's often beneficial to have legal representation to ensure your interests are protected. Settlement agreement has to be approved by a judge that works for workers' compensation, and that ensures that the settlement is fair and in your best interest. Finally, just a little bit about goals again of personal and professional goals. Throughout the entire process, stage 1 through 4 of the life of the claim, setting and working towards personal and professional goals is essential. These goals help guide your recovery, they improve your quality of life, and they support your return to work. They also help you stay motivated. Keeping focused on your goals can provide motivation during challenging times, help you maintain a positive outlook on your recovery journey, and keep you moving forward. So having these goals, achieving goals, even if they're small victories, that can be very motivating. It can remind us that we are making progress. Even if it's slow and steady, it's still progress. So having these goals, having very concrete things we're working towards, very important to keep our motivation and to remind us that we are making progress. So here's that again. Just a little summary. You have that injury and filing claim in stage 1. Once it's accepted, you have stage 2, the medical treatment and benefits. Once accepted, you get access to medical treatment and benefits, including temporary disability. In the middle there, it says medical treatment and trying to recover. That's where most of you probably are right now, just trying to recover. Eventually, you'll be declared P&S. Being declared permanent stationary or maximum medical improvement means your condition's no longer expected to improve, even with treatment. That usually leads soon to settlement. So that's it for today. It's a lot of information, and like I said, we'll have individual classes going into more detail on things like temporary disability, permanent stationary status, the voucher, settlement, and so on. So I encourage you to ask questions and try to learn more, but we will go into detail in future classes in this series. For now, if you have any extra time, here are some discussion questions. First one is about what stage you're in. So just recognizing where in the four-stage model of the life of the claim that you're at, right? So obviously all of you have passed stage one, your claim is accepted, but many of you may have been actually already declared permanent stationary. Many of you may have already settled with future medical and so on and so forth. Number two, staying motivated. What has kept you motivated to continue to proactively recover and get back to work or structured activities? Number three, what I wish I knew. What's one thing you wish you knew about the process before you started your claim? And number four, overcoming challenges. What's the biggest challenge you faced in this journey, in the life of your claim, and how did you overcome it? So thank you for listening. That'll be it for today. I'll see you next time.